All right. Happy, what are we? Tuesday, everybody. This is JoJo Bennington, and this is the Rock Your Life Weekly Team Board Meeting. Get together, hang out, check in, see what's going on with everyone. And so excited. First of all, before we get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone who is doing their connections every day. You guys are rocking, posting up all that cool stuff, the videos that are going out, the messages that are being sent. And, you know, I know we see a lot of no's or not right nows going into the page. And that's so awesome because those are all seeds that have been planted. So just know that even though they're saying no right now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be no tomorrow or no next week. It's just for right this second. So we're just the messenger. Remember, we're just the messenger. We want to get the message out there and we'll be here when they're ready to go. And so I just want to shout you guys out for all the hard work that you're doing, and it's totally awesome. And so that will be that's going to be my gratitude for the day, because I want to introduce you to Vinny and I's buddy Steve. Mm-hmm. Okay, so cool guy. So I don't know how many of you know Lisa DeMeo, but Steve is Lisa DeMeo's brother, and I don't know, she's Millionaire, like, I don't know. I don't even know what number she is. Do you know 90. What number she is?
92.
But she just came into the company and has brought so much value and what she knew about network marketing that Steve didn't get involved till 2011. And he is Millionaire number 235. He's an 8-star platinum. But he just got back from Top Achievers, so spent some time in Hawaii with all the big guns running around there. But what we love about Steve, so that's all his accolades and blah, blah. But what we love about him is his heart and how he just is so relatable and has come from this space of, you know, being really corporate salesy to now being in this network marketing thing. And we're total blues together. So always touchy-feely connecting, and his vision for how we can build men into this company is great. And he's just got so much value to offer. We were able to work together during UIA a bit. First, he was on a panel with Vinny at the beginning of UIA, and then we got to do the panel at the end together, which was great. And he's just offers so much value in all areas. So I am excited to welcome you to our call, Mr. Steven Livoti. Thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here, and thank you for inviting me. So we're looking to serve the team, and anytime we get connected and get together, it's always something that I feel is important, because we all have something that we see of value that we're looking to benefit from, like empowering our own life, getting ourselves healthy, relieving some financial stress, and then sharing with other people, right? So I think a good way to start is a little bit about my story, like why I got involved and how I got involved in Isogenics. So just quickly, I'm the youngest of 4. I grew up in Queens, New York, blue collar town. My dad died the day before my sister Lisa, who you mentioned, the day before her 18th birthday back in 1986. I was in that awkward age of 15. And then what happened to me and our family is his closest friend, my uncle, went through the typical corporate squeeze, went through just really bad, massive depression, and passed away suddenly 3 years after I lost my dad. So it was pretty devastating for me. My brother had moved out of the house cross country. So not the woe is me story, but I just want you to put things into context of what this vehicle, especially around the nutrition, has done for us, but even more so like this whole industry, of what it's done for Lisa and what I was able to see in the 6 years when I was in this kind of corporate grind that led me to starting my Isogenics business. So she got involved in personal development work at a young age. She was always driven to have more and get out of our drug-infested neighborhood, and I went the other route. I was driven enough to work my way through school, but I got caught up in a lot of the wrong things and kind of got lost in my 20s. Didn't get into personal development work until I was 34. Got into a 6-figure corporate job 6 years prior to Isogenics. And then I went through what a lot of people go through in the corporate world, a massive layoff when the collapse happened in 2008. So I was selling business insurance. I actually really liked where I was in this company until that happened. So and I do like to share this as well, not to try to beat up on corporate America, but the CEO that we were working for made $35 million in 2008. And upon the fire sale, when he had a lot of senior people lose about 25% of their pension, and some of us sold to another company, and a lot of people lost their jobs, made $50 million the following year. And the senior guys that I was around, this company, people worked there from like high school and college through their career. It was old school in that way, where a lot of people back then, generations ago, worked one company with one job for their whole life. And certainly wasn't my generation, Generation X, the generation that works all over the place. But what happened was I was sold to a company, given a six-figure contract, and had my book of business quadrupled, and it just was under extreme amount of stress and pressure to produce in this new environment that I hated. So I was miserable. Left the company, went to a company on Wall Street, and 9 months later lose my job. And in that 6-year period, my sister got involved with a skincare company in this industry and became a millionaire, and completely changed her lifestyle and the lifestyle of her kids from how we grew up. But she always felt like she just was not in the right place, and there was just breaks in the compensation plan and all sorts of stuff. So if you've heard of Lynn Hagedorn, who also came from that company, she saw the vision of Isogenics and left. And Lisa was like, well, why would you leave? What's going on? And she said, well, this is a company that's solid, they're privately owned. I love the nutritional line. I met with Kathy Coover, the co-founder. I don't want to miss this opportunity. I think you should look at it. So I was all over it because I was unemployed and I was frustrated, and I was, just going through a lot. So she went and flew out to Arizona, met Kathy Coover, came back with the marketing material. I looked at it, and then I started researching, not really from a cynical point of view, but I was just trying to find out what was out there about Isogenics. So I was Googling like Isogenic scams and like anything I could find that just to see. But what happened was anything I would find, I'd say, Lisa, look at this. Like, look at the scientific advisory board. And I literally didn't leave her house for 2 days. I followed her all around her house. She'll tell you the story. And she finally said, all right, let's call up Lynn and start. And that's how we started. So I didn't know anything about network marketing, team building. Really, I didn't know anything about the skill set of what's involved in doing this. I just had the desire to have something different and more in my life. And like most of you, I'm assuming on this call, once I got the products into my body for a couple of weeks, things started to change. And for me, it was sleeping through the night, waking up with energy, a little bit of releasing some pounds and stuff. But I went and reinstated my gym membership 2 weeks into it, started working out. Passion that I just didn't have, that I lost for a long part of my life. As Vinny knows and Jojo knows, I'm a musician at heart. Like I love to travel. I was in a suit and tie kind of situation that was compromising my spirit and leading to just a lot of frustration and depression and stuff. So I went about it. Like what do I need to do? And she was like, get this president's pack at the time, make a list of people, talk to everyone and go to the events. Being unemployed though, when we started that August, I chose not to go to kickoff in January 2012, and that was a big mistake because I didn't see really the vision of the company. I thought I got it. I'm like, I get it. Your products are great. You just talk to people and just share it and whatever. I really kind of took for granted a few things. One, I had been to events with the other company, and it was very superficial and about the Mercedes and the jewelry and all this kind of stuff. I didn't connect to it. And I didn't need what I thought was the rah-rah. Like, I don't need the rah-rah. I don't need the motivation. I'm motivated. I didn't see the altruism and the contribution and how organic in growth this company is and how connected the community is. I really didn't see the bigger part of the vision of the expansion. Like everything that for someone at the time at 41 really needed to see if I was going to lean into this company and put my trust and my time and everything into it, to trust and really believe that this is something that I could do or a company that would be there for me. So being that she had earned a team in another company, she went to Crystal Executive in 2 days. A lot of people that came over went Crystal Executive in 3 or 4 weeks. It took me 8 months to get to Executive, which I lost for about a year to a year and a half, and went through this battle of back and forth of trying to get to Executive and learning. And I was sharing this with Jojo earlier. It took me personally 4 years to have unwavering conviction and belief in this company, like 4 years. And it doesn't have to take you 4 years. the reason it took me 4 years, a lot of the reason had to do with the timing of the company. When we had started in 2011, the company was on the cusp of hitting 10 years in growth, which is a make or break point for a lot of the companies in this industry. We did $248 million in global revenue that year. It was new to me. So I was like kind of growing in this business as I was watching the company grow. But what started to really connect me, one was when we partnered up with Make-A-Wish in 2012. So that shattered all the disillusion I had around the events and the rah-rah and all that stuff. I saw the community piece and the wealth creation piece that could be more altruistic. But as we started to grow and I got battle tested and learned my skill set, and the company also gets battle tested, I saw them staying true to the integrity of not only the products, but the compensation plan, the culture, and the commitment to being privately owned, which was big for me. And even some of the movement and management that kept the company in alignment with the vision. But the key for me was in 2015, and it was the Start Group that went from 6,000 Start Group members, right, to 18 to 35-year-olds. In January 2015, went from 6,000 to 40,000 in 1 year. And as a legacy company, that's what we need. We need like the youth to really keep this company moving forward. So I saw that we had the gritty network marketing professionals. I saw a lot more men involved in this than I did in the only company that I was looking into with Lisa. And then I saw this like the youth movement, like spirited, like using social media, Eric Hoover traveling all over the world. That was big. And at that point now we had grown to, I think at that point it was about close to 600 or 700 million in sales. So, now we're on the cusp in the last couple of years of doing almost $1 billion in global revenue. We just opened up in Spain, 16 countries, opening up in South Korea, 17 countries. And the numbers resonate with me. If you look at it as an opportunity, there's not one state in the entire United States that has more than 1% of the population currently using Isagenix products. There's less than 60,000 active consultants or higher. There's 700,000 open accounts worldwide, globally. And to put that in perspective, I'm from Queens. There's 2.3 million people that live in one borough in New York, in Queens, New York. I mean, 50,000, 60,000 consultants. There's some arenas and outdoor stadiums that have a bigger capacity than that. So, it's a wide open opportunity. And where we run into challenges, I think, is how do we share this with people? Like how do we, someone like me who was so passionate about it and wanted the freedom and thought everybody wanted the freedom, I was presenting on this big picture scale to every single person I met, not realizing in the early days what kind of work it took to get there. And it's well worth it. It's always my passion that keeps me going. It's the passion towards the products and the love of the support of the community. And what this could do for people. But most people, either for whatever reason, maybe it's not the timing in their life, maybe they don't have the desire to have a bigger life, whatever it is, like the commitment that's involved in growing a multiple six-figure business is a lot different than most people were willing to do. And I also learned, as someone new to network marketing, that your average person like me, I'm an average person, right? It takes a couple of years to really wrap your head around this and have it get into you. And that looks like trusting the investment of going to the events and growing yourself and learning this. And it's a very humbling experience to go through growing a network marketing team, because it's learning something new. It's someone now I'm 47. I had to learn a new skill set, in my 40s. But again, it's the passion and the enjoyment of being around this community that keeps me going. So I just wanted to open up with that. I think it's good to understand like the vision of the company and where I kind of came into play in all of this is now like celebrated as the 235th millionaire. I mean, so it kind of blows my mind sometimes, but it hasn't come without sacrifice and commitment. I've made choices throughout the days and the weeks and the months and the years to do this rather than that. Like hitting 5-star was a big goal of mine. I wouldn't go out basically in the summer a few years ago, wouldn't go to the beach or do anything rewarding until I hit that mark, so that's just my desire. I understand now that I need to pay more attention to what people really want and not want what I want for them. In other words, if someone just wants to use products, that's fine. Like, they don't have to share this. I think everybody should be on these products. I don't see why I wouldn't want to offer this to everybody, at least from the product point of view, just to help them get started in the nutrition. I've learned also that a lot of people will come in just for the products and start to open up to the compensation plan, because we start to learn about each other more. They trust me more, they trust the company more, they have this experience, they want to share it. And then maybe we'll start to look at small wins around finances, like, what's your right now immediate relief financially. It might be, car payments or something, just to help a little bit without this big like vision of, of wealth, which takes time to get there. So, it's learning how to connect at the right point with people and serve them for what they really want. It's a lot of conversations to find a customer base, and there's nothing personal in that. It's just people are ready or they're not, and we're just looking for people that are ready. And like you just said earlier, Jojo, you plant some seeds, and when people are ready, they'll come around. It's just nurturing relationships. So I don't know how if you want to go to some Q&A, I have some ideas that are popping up. I hope this intro is helpful to start.
Absolutely. And it's good to know where you came from and what you saw coming from corporate America to step in here. It's a big move. It's a totally different thing, right? I know that you're a great question asker, and that questions are very important to help you move somebody forward. So if you're going to talk to me about Isogenics, let's talk about some of the questions that you ask to help somebody move forward. Because sometimes we feel like we got to go, this is what I want you to have. This is what I think you need to do. And we put our wants all over it instead of sitting back and listening to what they want.
It's so true, I'm still a work in progress with this. I look at it this way: we're bombarded with stuff day in and day out, right? Commercial advertisements. I'm right outside of Manhattan. You go into the city, it's just, even the steps have advertisements on it. You walk into a store, some overzealous salespeople may come at you right away. Our initial reaction is to always have our guard up. But if you take interest in someone's life and you don't have this "I'm going to get you" kind of feeling towards it, and open up a door for them to look at a new possibility, that's the way enrollment works. So there's steps. I would write this down actually, and this is something that you could work towards. There's 4 steps to having an enrollment conversation, and this is taken straight from a leadership course that I went through and I coach in. The first step is that trust, right? The rapport. Is a trust already established, and are they open? Are they open to this conversation? And I'll go through some like how to do these icebreakers and stuff. The second part is the enrollment piece, and it's having the person having a self-discovery. The person has to see the value for themselves and make the choice. And that's where it gets tricky, because that's where the questions really come into play. The challenge is, you just mentioned, Jojo, the challenge we run into, and I've made this mistake knowing these steps, is we'll go to the third step too fast. And the third step is the advocate. You should do this because, that's not a good feeling if you lead with that, right? If you enrich that second step, then you know where to lead. Like, based upon what you're saying, you should look, I think you should look at this because type of thing. So it's a trust and open is the first step. Then you have the self-discovery, then the advocate. And the fourth step is the call to action, which in our case would look something like, do you have enough information to get started today? So I'd like to spend some time on that second step, which is the questions, and just touch upon the first step. And this is being recorded, so if I'm speaking too fast, go back and listen to the recording. So the first step really could be like, Jojo, how are you doing? How is everything going? And you'll most likely open up and talk. Now, if there's resistance in the first kind of, I hate to say probing questions, but those first questions, someone's shut down to something, you really may not move too far into the next couple of steps. But if you can get engaged in conversation, some of the questions that I ask are, it's different, like 3-way calls and initial calls, but like, how are you feeling? How's your energy been? What's stressing you out the most right now? Like, just think of things of understanding where someone may be in life and how this may help them, right? So around their energy, like what's your energy like during the day? I always ask people, especially if I'm in an Uber, you know, is this your main thing? Like, what else do you do? Waitresses, waiters, bartenders, anybody. I'd like to assume that most people are in their passion, but I know 70% of the people aren't. So I look to find out what's their true passion and are they in alignment with it? Because that could be a good opening over time to help them see the residual income piece and how powerful that could be to bring them in alignment with something else. So, you know, if they are in doing something they're super passionate about, and I do this and I love everything about it, then it's like more on the nutritional side, like what's your energy like? You wake up with energy, and so on and so forth. On the financial side, you know, David Wood has this great question that he asked in University in Action: is time and money were of no consideration and no consequence, what would you be doing with your time? Like, what would you do today? What would you be doing tomorrow? I find most people like really like that question, and open. It just opens up more conversation. So it's not robotic. I'm not like, they said this, I said that, you said this, I go here. I just have learned to naturally ask a lot of questions, and the more I do it, the more I practice it, the better I get at asking questions. So I also don't go into every conversation with an expectation that this is going to open up to an isogenics conversation. And I've shared this a lot of times with my team and on calls. I've been in Ubers where I've gotten contact information in 15 minutes on the drive to an airport, and I sat next to someone for 5 hours on an airplane, talked the whole flight, and didn't open up an isogenics conversation. You know, I'm not trying to get every single person that I speak to. I'm more trying to find out about people. And if there's a relationship that we could build, and then maybe it opens up a door to a conversation, you can connect with Facebook and all that kind of stuff that goes on. And there's a whole development process sometimes with relationships. So I find also with the three-way calls, I love asking questions like, walk me through a day in your life. What do you have for breakfast? What's your plan towards your nutrition? You know, what do you spend on money each day for food? Like, those are more geared towards the three-way calls when you're trying to help somebody understand the value of this, which will lead into the price objection. It's just finding out about people. So, you know, initially it's just being friendly and talking to people and just having conversations of interest. Like, you just be surprised. Like, I find most people are really interesting, you know. So the more we could ask, and then you'll find your people that are shut down and your people that are open. Then you could always ask a question like, hey, you know, I'm involved with this health and wellness company. I'm really passionate about it. Would you be open to learning about it? Like, I'd really love to share some information. When you use that word open and you're putting it on them, it just kind of takes all the pressure off of them trying to, like, that whole, like, you're trying to show them products or feel like have it not feel good type of thing. You just want people to see this. So my posturing in the whole entire conversation is, I see something of value with isogenics. I see this tremendous thing happening with this company. I'm curious to know how many people are aware of it. So sometimes I just flat out ask people, have you ever heard of isogenics? You know, and if so, and they say, yeah, like, you know, and I'll say, what did you hear? What have you heard about it? Whatever. But my goal is to get people to see the value. It's really where my goal is. It's not to get the enrollment. So if I can get someone to see the value for themselves, it will lead to the enrollment. And that goes back to the questions, like, and seeing if you're, you know, around where they may be interested in the health or the financial piece or both. So once that second step is really enriched, then you know where to go to be an advocate on that third step, because now they're helping to lead you to know where to lead them, right? Whether it's just strictly around the products and nutrition, a little bit of the income, or, you know, I've been praying for something like this, like, you know, just want to have freedom and all this kind of stuff. And then from there, you know, you go into do you have enough information to get started, which it takes a few conversations sometimes to get to that point, right? So is that helpful? Okay.
Totally.
Okay.
So you feel like the advocate piece, is that where you would put a three-way call in?
You can. Yeah, I mean, you could do a lot of these questions on the three-way as well. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just initials, like, some of my team, it's just as simple as, like, I feel really good about this nutrition. Like, I feel really great. I'm new to this, but my friend has been doing this for 7 years or whatever. I would like for him to talk to you. Are you open to having a call? And that's it. It depends. I don't know other people's networks. Mm-hmm. So I would say, like, just to see if I could be in service to all of you right now, from an initial call to somebody, if I was to call someone the first time, what I would say when I picked up the phone is, I thought of you because, I've been using these products and I feel great, and I thought of you because I thought you might be interested. And your warm market, right? What you would lead into with the warm market. And then when I'm out, it's different questions of curiosity to just kind of shuffle some things around to see if there's an opening somewhere for somebody that may be looking for something like this. And the advocate piece, that could come up more so within the three-way call, I think, Jojo, because a lot of times, here's a great thing. We're in a business of leverage. So we're leveraging our time and we're leveraging our knowledge, and we have the support of a team, of a corporate team, and we also have our own team, and we have a plethora of like endless resources, right? From podcasts to science blogs to videos to Facebook groups. So we just want to have people that are new pique someone's interest and bring them to the support team. So you'll know more of what to send when you enrich that conversation. Like I like to think of it as priming. A quick example, I spoke Saturday. One of the guys that was working the event kind of came in on the tail end. We had all these ISA lights, so I was just handing it out to the service crew, the AV guys. I said, hey, were you listening in, to the event? What did you think of it? So I kind of came in at the tail end. I was like, well, what'd you pick up on? Anything? He's like, I know something about nutrition or whatever. And I said, where are you at with that? Like, do you have any health goals? Like, he's like, I'm a vegan. I was like, oh, wow. I said, we actually have a vegan line. I said, it's something you might be interested in learning about, like, our nutritional products. And he's like, yeah. And I said, where are you from? And then I just started to find out about him. I didn't come jumping at him the advocate piece. I didn't have enough information. So I just kept going back to questions. I'm from Orlando. I moved here. Why'd you move here? Well, my brother was in Staten Island. Why'd you move to Staten Island? And I just kept going into, so I can get a fuller picture. And I didn't go anywhere from there other than, hey, let's exchange information. What I was looking to do was set up a space where we could be connected, where we didn't have all of this kind of distraction going on, and have a focused conversation. So then I could help him to understand the value. And if he wants this, we could lead him in the right direction. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's good. We go to work to make it so weird instead of just saying, you know what, I've only been doing this for a short time, but I have somebody that I work with who's been doing this for years. And to just be honest, we feel like if we don't know everything, people are going to look at us weird. Well, if you don't, you don't know everything, so why do I want to talk to you? But to just be honest and say, I thought of you because, and what a great, it's just a great, easy line to say why. I love that. Love it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different avenues, right, of connecting. But there's a warm market, there's a cold market. And,
for sure.
Yeah, for totally. You just want to have someone get the support. You have an amazing coach here with JoJo. You have Vinny. You just have to get people on the phone with them and help them to help them. We're in the service industry. We serve people.
Totally. We are. Can you talk about, I know you're so great at building to events and how you look at what an event can do for the business. And we talk a lot about events, but I love it when someone else is as passionate about events as we are, and you're so great at it. Can you share how you see events and how you build to them?
Yeah, so in the beginning, I was always like, you got to get to the events, you got to get to the events, you're great. That doesn't really work too well. So what happened to me was a couple of years ago, we had an event, and I was already successful, in my own way, six-figure income earner in New Jersey, and I didn't have one person on my team come. Not one person. I was sitting there, and you always want more, right? When you're sitting there, I wish so-and-so was here. I wish so-and-so was here. Not one person on my team came. And right in their backyard, some of them was 20-minute drive away. So I had to evaluate what's missing from me that's not getting people to see the value. So what I ended up learning to do was vision cast around each of the core events. What's the value in them? And I also look at the calendar of events. I know pretty much right now every event, the date and where they are up until October, because I know how important it is. And, kind of on the soapbox in a way with my team, because I always talk about the events when they're hidden struggles. And I can't teach you everything that you can learn from an event over the course of a weekend. So to give you an idea, We had an event, well, University in Action, right? It's one of my favorite ones. You have a master life coach who travels all over the world, who teaches you about personality quadrants. You raise your level of belief in the industry. You're learning how to do things that we're questioning by actually doing it, moving around the room, learning how to do your 30-second story, writing out the compensation plan. It's just things that you can't learn any other way by doing. Like most people like to learn by doing in an environment that's full of inspiration. You're connected to community, and then you have a powerful 2-hour panel, at the last day, helping you with how to do this based upon everything you've done up until that point for the most part. And then there's a culmination at the end of an event that only David Wood can pull off. That's just this beautiful spirited ending to an event. And that's how I talk about that event. And then, however it also comes up, finding whatever someone is interested in, sharing the vision of it so they could see the value so they'll want to go. That's one piece. I like the smaller events, the more intimate events. Another thing with University in Action is there's nothing. There's not even your name on the badges. It just says, right? So you don't know if you're sitting next to a millionaire or someone who's been there for a day or two or a week. So that mingle is invaluable. Right, to have access to people who are inclusive, not exclusive, working with you side by side. I find that also with the ICUs to be, I like them more because of the intimacy, right? And then we have the powerful celebration that's coming up, where you really get to see what's going on with this company. Close to 17,000 people, high energy breakout sessions, science talks. You have access to nutritionists and doctors who hang around the day before the event. You can go up there, ask questions. So if you have someone who's analytical and science-based and really wants that knowledge, they have access to those people. It's so valuable, right? The IsoBody challenge, the unveiling of the IsoBody challenge winner, super emotional, amazing. The Make-A-Wish piece, there's value to have, and you connect to what's going on with this company. And then you have the kickoff, which is the smallest scale of celebration, which is extremely valuable as well. So when I help people to understand the value, that's one thing. The main thing though is I have to understand what they want, right? So if someone wants 6 figures, it's mandatory. It's just mandatory. It's like any other profession. You have to learn it. I went to school for 4 years. In an undergrad, I came out, it's nothing these days, but I came out with $15,000 in debt, and I really didn't have any skill. I went through 4 years of going to Isogenics event, and I was a 6-figure income earner, of going to events. So there's that investment. The other thing with this, if someone wants to earn 6 figures and they haven't been an entrepreneur before, there's a different mindset from an employee mentality to an entrepreneur's mentality, and entrepreneurs think and do differently. So I continue to learn what entrepreneurs do. I love watching Shark Tank. I try to get into the mindset of entrepreneurs. And one thing entrepreneurs do is we make investments into our business and into ourselves to grow. Very different from an employee, where we look at things in a budgeted way around budgeting money. It's like a restricted feeling I had before I started to do this. What I've learned is the more I invest into myself and my business and stay in a high level of activity, the faster it grows. It's like watering the plant. You have to do it if you want to be an entrepreneur. So there's different levels of that. But I also value the people on my team that aren't driven to be 6-figure income earners, because they contribute so much to the dynamic of the team. And they get a lot out of going to events too. I have a lot of customers that go to events because they like plugging into the positivity of the community, and they're learning and growing, and they're connecting internationally, especially with the team, and building these friendships. It's just a great, fun environment to be in. I don't want to get into too much about the world, but the world could be a gloomy place. It's not an easy thing to go through, this thing we call life. So we have this beautiful community around health and wellness and nutrition that is exhilarating. So I find most people would want to plug into that. So that's it's just helping people to see the value. And then, the yellows, if you've done the personality quadrants, it's about the party and the festivity and the fun and all of that. And then the whites, it's about the science and the learning and everything. And the reds, it's like, this is going to help your business grow. And in the blues, it's kind of everything in a way, right? But it's the connection in the community piece.
That's good. Katya just had a statement. So you might remember Katya from UIA. She was one of your partners wave, Katya, so he can see you. So she just said that it was awesome. She had no idea who she was or who you were when she was your partner, and so just what a great representation of our ISO leadership you are. And
yeah,
so just sending some gratitude to you.
Good to see you. How you doing? Are you on mute?
Probably.
Yeah,
she can unmute. There you go.
I'm awesome. I don't know if you remember, but we talked about getting my guitar out of the closet and unplugging it. And it's sitting by the front door because I need to take it to have it restrung. But I'm one step closer, man.
I love it. There was a few of that was happening throughout that training. There was a few musicians looking to restring and get back on board, and I'm glad to hear that.
That's good.
See, mine's hanging up in the background. I know it's kind of dark back there.
Oh, we can see it. Oh, cool.
Can you see it? I don't know.
It's the acoustic up on the wall.
Okay, awesome. So cool.
Much like this business, right? It's a step at a time and just keep moving forward, right?
For sure. So we talked a little bit about the smaller events too. So what do you think about, the belly-to-belly meetings, the sip and samples, the weekly get-togethers, and the smaller trainings? What do you think about those?
Yeah, incredibly powerful. We're wired to be interdependent and we're built for community. That's just the human spirit. That's how we're wired. It's tribal, whatever you want to call it. The power of doing that, there's a few things. One, again, like this call, like-minded people, sharing the same vision, knowing we're not the crazy ones or whatever, but more so the practicality of it is when you have a few people in a room, and especially a few people that have had experiences with products, and they share, it gives credibility, and it also gives possibility. I could do this too. And when you bring people into that environment that are seeing it for the first time, what tends to happen is they say, wow, they're just like, they'll find someone relatable usually within the room and say, I could do this too. And that's been my mantra. That's my intention now moving forward is I can do this. Like I can do this. I can do this too. I want people to feel they could do this. And whatever that is. And again, drinking shakes, doing the cleanse, having a transformation around your health, like who can't do that, right? The business part, anyone I believe could do it as well. It's just the amount of time to hit our goals is different. Like I said, it took me 8 months to get to executive when people doing it in 2 days and 4 weeks. And, we could always compare ourselves to something else. But those mix and mingle, sip and samples, really powerful. Again, something positive to plug into. And you've done a ton of them and I've done a lot of them. People always walk away feeling better, right? Even if they were in traffic in New Jersey, which sucks, by the way, they still say, like, I'm so glad I stuck it out and came. I feel so much better than I did before I got here.
So good. And we have to do more for sure. Like we're committing to moving into doing more. We used to do a weekly. We had a weekly forever. And we kind of stepped away from it. You get to a certain point where you just kind of go, okay, is it still effective? But when you realize how effective it really is to keep people connected and plugged in. So even if it's a small group, right? It doesn't have to be 30 people. It can be 1, 2, 3 people.
One of the millionaires, Jen Smith, she was the fastest millionaire before Lynn Hagedorn. I know her enrolling sponsor, but I met him in Isogenics. And when I started, I didn't have a team. So I connected with executives on Long Island, and we committed to a monthly space every month, no matter what. If just the 5 of us were there, we were going to host this event. And we built it up at one point to about 150 people. He had a home sip and sample type of thing, home presentation, way back when, and there was a storm. I don't know if it was a snowstorm or a rainstorm. And he was thinking of calling it off, and he didn't. And the only person that showed up was Jen Smith. And he sponsored Jen Smith.
Wow. There's a lesson right there, right? Because you never know who that one is going to be.
You don't.
Right? You just don't. That's amazing.
Dr. Richard Verdansky, Dr. B.
So let's chat a little bit about, you brought up the comparison piece. And we know I've been there. I know you've been there, and sat back and and what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Because we look at someone else's glory and we don't see the story behind it. So how do you deal with your because we know it crops up for everybody, right?
It still comes up. It still comes up for me. Like I said this to you before too. Like I'm in the 8-star group. You know, there's heavy hitters in there, like Laura Stevens and I know the Dickerhoffs, and you know, I can go on. And sometimes I feel like, do I really belong? And like that talk will come into my head. Do I really even belong here? You know, I've hit it because of the spikes of the shakes or whatever. But you know, I've hit 8-star and dropped down to 5-star, and I'm not like, woe is me. Believe me, you can live the rest of your life on 5-star income. It's amazing, but it's an interesting thing because there are like these like kind of ebbs and flows in the cycle growth and stuff. I don't have many. I only have one personally sponsored executive. I've helped to cultivate 15 in my downline. So I look at that too, like, man, all these people have all these executives they sponsored. And so it's all self-talk though. No one's ever come up to me and said anything about it, right? So there it exists. It's learning how to manage it. Right now I had 4 enrollments. I was at the cusp of hitting 5 and someone returned products today after 3 days of using it. This stuff happens, you know. What keeps me going though is I know the value of all of it, right? Like the community. I know how I feel. I'll never get off the products, like I said from the beginning of the call. And I also know from experience of working through what we call plateaus, when I've been in a high level of activity with no results, no enrollments for months. I've had 3 months, no enrollments, all activity. I've learned though, when I've come off them, I usually have like 5 to 7 and I get waves because all those seeds, Jojo, you mentioned, have been planted. They will eventually, some will come around or some other people are out there and I'm just not finding the right person, or maybe just something off of my energy. I don't know, but whatever it is, it happens. I've been through probably 4, 5, 6 plateaus. They're not as long as they used to be. So I've learned certain things to get off of them. 1 is to get back into high level of activity. 2 is to take a real good look at myself, what maybe is missing for me. 3 is to make sure I'm plugging into podcasts, like really keeping my head in the game, like listening to podcasts, plugging into these calls, setting up for events. Creating an event is a big one. If I'm in a plateau, I probably haven't created the space either. So, you know, what you mentioned before, maybe it's not weekly sip and samples of team gatherings, but maybe I should be doing them bi-weekly or monthly, or I haven't been doing those consistently enough and I'm just not talking to enough people. So it's how you choose to respond to your mind, I believe, in that moment. Like, do you want to give into the frustration and just have that fester and just kind of be in all that pity party and doubt? Or do you want to recognize it as something that we all go through and just get focused again, and just hone in on what you really want and get back into the activity and do what you need to do to get your mind straight? And that's what it is for me. You know, it's a lot. I've been through a lot of purging and stuff, like just stuff in my own self-doubt and insecurities and all sorts of toxic garbage talk that was there for a long time because it was habitual, because I was there since I'm 15 from going back to experience of losing my dad. So there was a lot of stuff that I still continue to work on and work through, that I believe has elevated my game. And, you know, maybe not everybody has to do that amount of work. I don't know, but I know I certainly do.
When you're at a high, when you're working high level and you're really in the game, how many hours a day do you think you put in?
Yeah, that's interesting. I find my high, like when I come all in, it's a lot. I usually start my Mondays at 10 and usually end by midnight, and I'll have my breaks. And I kind of bring that into Tuesdays and into Wednesdays, not to that extent, but it tapers down Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I work my business 7 days a week because I love it. I was just talking to one of my best friends from high school. He's got his job and he sits in traffic for an hour and a half each way, and he doesn't make a lot of income, but he loves what he does, and his solace is in that traffic. And he's like, it's my only time to myself. I get back home to my wife and kids, but he shuts down everything when he gets home. He's like, where you're constantly going, working all hours of the day, and I'm also working remote. But in this conversation, I'm like, it's because I love it. Like, I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it, because I don't have to do it. There's no gun to my head. So what another question I think within that is, what am I doing in that time, right? So I needed to get my head in the game. So Mondays for 2 years, every Monday at 10 a.m., I would do a personal development, mindset, leadership call like this. Usually show a TED talk for about 15 to 20 minutes and hone in on what breakthrough I think we needed, or I needed, and the team needed, or whoever. It was cross signs. It was other people outside of Isagenix as well, just to get some value to kickstart the day. And then we had like our team executive call. And there's a lot of more team calls on the Mondays. Then I would kind of schedule in my follow-ups, and then like an open box call and some customer service stuff. And then I had another team call later on, 2 other team calls later on at night, because I have a team in Calgary, different time zones. So there was a lot of service type of, like 5 Zoom calls on Mondays. I was doing it for a while. And then that would taper off. Focus activity though, like you really don't have to, it's not about the amount of hours you put in. It's about the quality of work you do within the hour. So you could work for 4 hours and make 5 calls, or you could do that in 15 minutes. You know, so I don't think it's so much like I got to put in so many hours, as much as like what's my commitment to focus activity. And what I've learned more, so I think this is probably more serving to the team. I've learned when I want to hit goals, I know how many conversations I need to have to hit them. So what does that look like? If I'm looking to have 5 to 7 enrollments in a month, right, which I think is respectable, 2 a week, I would personally need to be engaged in like 25 to 30 conversations a week. That's just me. It used to be like 100 when I was really sucky at this, right? If I'm looking to help people rank advance, that's another goal. Like what's that, like where am I focusing my energy? Am I wasting time with people that just aren't matching the level of activity or commitment, responding to texts or whatever on my team, you know, saying they're going to do it, but not doing the do. So I learned how to manage that, to really focus in on who wants to build. And that's what it's more of looking at it that way, I think, when I'm focused. Like right now I'm in a focused part, you know, where I'm trying to hit this, get back to this 5. But I'll go all out too. If I'm really focused on a goal, I'll do whatever it takes to get there until I hit it. So I don't know. I think that's just different for everybody. I really do. So, I'd love to hear from some of you. Like, what is that like for you guys? Yeah.
I mean, we have people that are doing a high level of connections right now. And, you know, some have been around for a while, some are new to the game. So we're all at all levels of skill knowledge when it comes to the connection piece. And so does anybody have any questions? Because there's a couple of things that we wanted to talk about still, but we would love to fit in some questions, and we're already like at 40 minutes. So, oh, and yes, congratulations to Audrey and James. They just hit Millionaire number 267 today. So maybe you guys know Audrey as Audrey Moss, who she was when she came into this company, and then she married a teammate, James McLeod. So they're START ambassadors. They just hit Millionaire 267 today.
And she's awesome. Still in her 20s, I think.
Yeah, like, she's young. She enrolled her parents and helped her parents get to like her 4 or 5 star income. So how cool is that in their retirement?
That is awesome.
Right? Great story. So what about consistency?
It's everything. It's, you know, if people could sense it, especially people closest to us, there's a difference between like convenience and commitment. And I truly believe when you're in committed action, things are going to work out. It may not be in your timing, but this business is all about consistency. It's very difficult to do, you know, kind of when you feel like it. So, and there's blind trust involved in this, right? Because there's no instant gratification. So if you know you're consistently putting in the effort, you can only get better in your skill set. You'll eventually get there. You'll get to your enrollments and the compounding effect of the income. You know, I didn't come in here with any expectation of hitting a millionaire status. I couldn't even conceive that. But I just wanted something. I just wanted out. Like I didn't want to be in the grind. You know, so I think something we could address on the call is our blueprint right around money. And our self-sabotage mechanism that I think a lot of us have, which I did. So even around success, when I started getting close, it was scary, you know, accepting it and all of that type of stuff. And if I wasn't, there could be things I could do to sabotage, right? So, which could be an inactivity, something as simple as that, you know, you could call it fear or whatever. I know there's just a lot to it. I think trusting that this really could work for you is a big one. Like I really believe this could work for me. And that only came about for me by constantly going to events and constantly staying in action and developing the skill set. I just happen to like to talk to people too. I love connecting with people. I think that's a big bonus, but I've seen introverts, like really quiet, shy introverts, explode in this over time. This woman, Carolyn, who was just at our last team get together, so shy and introverted and started to share a little bit, but people trust her and they value her. They really value her. So all she had to do was open up a little bit and people started to enroll with her. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. What about managing expectations?
Key, biggest thing, even my own. Yeah, you don't want to torture yourself with the highs and the lows. I did that for for a good part of my first couple of years. Like, if I get this person or this person's coming in and saying they're going to do this, and that's exhausting. And what I learned recently, and I shared this with Jojo as well, is, I had someone come in to my organization and he had texted his buddy and he's like, I'm going to crush this. And that is usually the telltale sign that they're not going to do anything to me. For me, like I've said this 100% of the time. 100% of the time, I've yet to see someone come in with super enthusiasm saying they're going to do so great at this and stay around. And the reason is, this is a humbling, as I said earlier, a humbling journey, because it's something you got to learn, and you got to learn how to manage personalities and people and be patient and like plant seeds and do all of that work, knowing there's a compounding effect towards the end of it. So the expectations and managing expectations is, if someone comes in overzealous or over enthusiastic, it's just to help them understand the journey of this and what to expect. Like, I've had a lot of people, not a lot, but I've had people that I thought could do really well, close friends, return products. People that come in and made it to director and then they're not even ordering products anymore. Like, just things that happen. So I knew way back when it was part of the journey by listening to Jim Rohn's CD, Building a Network. I think it's called like Building a Network Marketing Business. So I hand out my new enrollments who come in for the business. There's like $1 at an event or $2 for that CD. I hand them that CD because he talks about all that in metaphor of planting seeds. And don't worry about the whys, like, why is this person doing this or not doing this? Just know that that's just the way the business works. So if we can just know that there's growth in this, it takes time, which is unlimited death compensation plan, which is amazing. It just takes time to learn it, like it should any other skill set. So in managing expectations, I'll use examples of an electrician or a police officer goes to an academy to learn, or an undergrad goes to school and then has to learn their skill set out in the marketplace. But every other vocation requires learning and doing. This is no different, So I would say, like, be kind to yourself in the journey of it. And really, I know we talk about this a lot, but try not to compare. It's there. It happens to me, right? Like I just talked about it earlier. And just stay focused and just grow yourself and look at each day. I think this is the key. Did I do enough today? Did I really honestly do enough today to be productive? And if you could answer that with a fully hearted yes, you're on the right path. You don't need the results that day, but you need the effort that day. And just do this one day at a time.
That's great. I love that question. Morgan wants to know, what's your biggest tip for getting others to see the vision and opportunity of the business?
Yeah, could be a challenging one. Again, they got to be open. If someone's shut down, they're in the conversation. I think, Morgan, it's going back to the fundamentals of the company. Like, I love that we've been around since 2002. We're on a cusp of doing over $1 billion a year in revenue. 16 countries now, with Spain opening up in the marketplace. The trend of the way the world is going. I mean, it's not the same type of world. Like, we have expansion with communication, like Zoom and Instagram and Facebook, so we can connect and have a work from anywhere type of business. So I like people to understand on a fundamental business side of it, that one, we have this business that's amazing, that you can have no real cost of an investment like a conventional business, yet all the same tax write-offs. And then going back to the power of the residual income, like, if you look at one cycle, which is $54 in the US, and I'm generous with this share in interest, but you'd have to save $36,000 and find a rate of return at 8% on that investment to generate what would essentially be $54 a week. Right? It's about $2,800 a year in interest, which is the same as cycling once a week. So if I could show people the numbers and help them understand the power of the residual income, I think it's helpful, like to understand like the fundamentals of what this all is. And in the industry itself, $180 billion global, $35 billion throughout North America in revenue in our network marketing industry, direct sales industry. So, you know, back in the day, the skepticism about, you know, the pyramid thing, I think that's all gone. Like everybody knows somebody that's doing something, right? So, yeah.
And I think it still comes up, right? We still get that objection now and then. Oh, it's one of those things, but I think we're pretty good at handling that objection. And if we're not, then we will go back and have a call about that. But we did talk about, we have like a couple of minutes. So we have had, especially with everybody doing as much, you know, pushing on the connections as much as they have, of course, the cost objection comes up probably more regularly than anything else. So I know how I've been teaching how to overcome that, but how do you overcome a cost objection?
You know, and Chris Harder talks about this. Michael Klaus talks about that. I mean, any person I've heard train is address this. It's being proactive, so you don't have the objection come up. And what I mean by that is when you go through the steps to enrollment again, if we're coming at the person too fast, like you should do this because it becomes a transactional type of sell, and they're going to look at costs and you're not going to see value, and just that's where the objection comes in. If you start to engage in somebody or engage with somebody and engage in a conversation around like lifestyle questions, and you're understanding what are they already spending on food, and you're already engaged in that, so you know, and then you can show them to redirect, and that the shakes cost, you know, it's a meal replacement only $3 on average because there's 14 meals in each canister. You proactively overcome all of that up front. So I don't really get that objection around price because I've already established some type of value, and if I haven't, then we're not even talking products. So I want to find out like what's going to benefit JoJo the most to help her hit her goal. And when I help you understand that, you're going to make it doesn't even exist. Like, and if people really see value, they're going to pay anything for it, right? Like whatever it is. I've had people think it was going to cost thousands of dollars after a conversation because the conversation was so enriched. I'm like, no, value pack 600, like only 600, you know? But we already broke down, like you're getting 56. So here's some good numbers. 56 meal replacements, right? Within the 30-day or the value pack as protein shakes. Some people include the cleansing, the 2 days or 4 days of fasting as, you know, 30 days of meals. But if you're looking at meals, and, you know, like it's no different in Vegas or anywhere else in Florida or wherever, you know, everyone's from. I can't eat for $3 anywhere. Even pizza is like 2 slices of pizza and a drink is like $8. So, you know, people are spending it. They just have to see what they're spending their money on right now, and they got to want it. And they know all those objections go away. But the 56 meal replacements, 14 meals per canister, if you add in protein bars and, you know, anything else that comes in the value packs, it's just the breaking that down. But that's already addressed up front with the, you know, the questions.
Well, and it's helping them get out of their head where all the cost objection is and drop into their heart, which is where the emotional attachment to their goal comes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Vinny has a question. What do you say to those who have problem using social media? In other words, they want to embrace new technology to help build their business.
Yeah, I mean, we're learning something new because we want something different. So if they're not using social media, there may be a reason, I don't know, in the past. Like a while back, before I got on Facebook, it was Facebook causes divorces. That's what I heard. Like people rekindle relationships with their high school sweethearts and it breaks up marriages. I'm like, that's all I heard about Facebook, right? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I would ask them, why are you not on it? Like, what's your fear of it? And do you understand the value of it? Because this is the world we live in, right? So if you really want something, you got to learn something different. It's foreign at first, and then it becomes something that's second nature like anything else. And that's just growing, right? That's learning. That's what learning is. Instagram's like that with me, Jojo. When I first heard about Instagram and hashtags and stuff, like I was still getting, the feel for Facebook, and now I'm back to using LinkedIn. I find Instagram is really easy to use, but I only got in a rhythm with it in the last few months, and I've been on Instagram for a couple of years. I love Instagram now, but it became familiar, right? It's not this foreign thing to me anymore.
Well, absolutely, in everything, right? As soon as we put a little practice into it, it's not so difficult anymore. And I'm just starting to embrace Instagram a little more. So
yeah, it's fun, and you get I get followers every day because I use hashtags, and it's more about the images. The other thing with the social media, Vinny, with I just had someone just get onto Facebook. It was just really interesting growth into her becoming a consultant. But we connect so much with our team, so I want her to be in that community. So you should be in our community groups on Facebook and the nutrition groups and the coaching. Just get on it for that reason. You don't forget about the news feed and the BS that goes on with whatever is annoying. I don't follow us. I don't even watch the news, let alone who's talking about whatever on Facebook that it would be annoying. I just learned to go past it and just put value out there. So I like the group connection in our own groups off the main news feed. And I think that's a good reason for people to be on something like Facebook.
Awesome. So, hey, I know we're at time, but I want to ask you this one final question, because we have been running up against this for a while now with the new keto, the buzzword of keto, right? So getting objections about how many carbs are in the shake. And so can you speak to that? Because Margie's been having that objection a lot. And I know that a lot of our fitness pros and, our athletes on the team have been running into that with some of their people. So and obviously because they don't understand fiber, but I'm going to let you answer. I'm going to let you jump in on that one.
So Candace, my girlfriend, just posted a whole thing about the keto diet on my Facebook wall, and it's a public post, so you can see it.
I stole it, by the way.
Great, excellent. Anything on my wall, take. Anything on anybody's wall, take. It's out there in the public.
Right.
And anyone in Isogenics, I think, would say that, right? So, so here's where I go with that. I go back to curiosity. What made you do that in the first place? Is it sustainable? What's your long-term plan around it? And what do you see in the value? And I'll go try to find their depth of knowledge in nutrition, because, most people aren't that knowledgeable, right? I'm not that knowledgeable about nutrition. I know a lot about it, but I'll defer back to the tools. So then when I can understand why they're doing it and what their long-term sustainable plan is towards it, I'll say, is there anything else? When I understand the goals, then I could show how this could complement it. If it's a straight up rejection around carbs, I don't understand that, because I understand that the shake is a fully balanced meal replacement. And we need this. It's not, people get so crazy about sugars and carbs and stuff, but we need sugars, natural sugars, not artificial sweeteners and things, for our brains to process protein. So anyone that really knows nutrition will know that. And then we have all these podcasts. So if someone's closed, again, goes back to that first step, there's nothing to talk about. You're closed, you're set, that's your thing. You're not an open mind. I don't want to go there. I don't want to open the heart to open pistachio nuts. I'd rather work with people that are open, looking for something, and that's what we're seeking. So it's just why did you do it? What's your long-term sustainable goal? What's your goals? What is it about it? What do you understand about it? And then there's a way we can complement it with this once I understand what they're doing and why. And then patiently I wait for some of them to come around, like my barber, who I've been talking for 2 years. He's on a keto thing, and his thing is keto. He's like, I need to eat. I love eating fatty foods. And someone put in there, I think, Vinny, about the proteins. Dr. Paul Arciero did a talk about that at Top Achievers. It all goes back to protein. No matter what, we need to have protein time, and every day goes back. This ketosis thing goes back to the 20s when they were helping people with seizures. So I don't disparage anything, because then you're really going against somebody's ego, and that's to me, that's not a good place to be. So I always like to understand why they did it, and then see if they're open to understand why this may be valuable. Mm-hmm. Is that helpful?
It is. And so what we want to do is, really look at and help people understand, fiber that's in a shake helps to reduce not only the sugar, but the amount of carbs. So there's equations that need to be done on each thing if we're going to look at that. So it's important to understand more. And I think a lot of people don't fully understand. So, I think, I think it's great.
So here's again, like keto is not dangerous. Please do your research and due diligence. So that's what I'm saying. I don't disparage anything because it's true. There's benefits to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
sure.
Paul Arciero spoke highly about it, but there's a way we can complement it also, you know, with the shakes and stuff. So I just understanding why someone would do something, and what their goal is. It just goes back to that. You know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's a good point. Yep.
All right. Well, we are way over time, and we thank you for taking so much time with us tonight and imparting all of your knowledge and heart on us. And we can't be more grateful to you for taking time out of your push to take some time with us. So we're all just gonna blow Steve a big kiss and thank him.
I will
with
receive
much
the
gratitude.
love.
And
God bless. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
And we will see you soon at the next event. And everybody, so any of the guys, please either reach out to Steve or reach out to Vinny if you want to be part of the Isotonics men's page. And yeah, absolutely be a part of that because they're doing some good stuff there. We need more guy faces in this company. For sure.
And I have to apologize for that, Steve, because I haven't been very faithful to the calls because they are early for the West Coast. And I don't have my alarm clock. So,
all right. So we're setting his alarm clock from now on.
Yeah, it's good if you want to get on live, but they're being recorded. The last two were really good. You know, they're all good. We have Kyle in the Crash talking about products. I have Michael Klaus doing a piece. Just watch the recordings, man.
Great. Perfect. We'll do that.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Peace. Stay well, everyone.
Thanks, Steve. Love you, brother.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
Thank you.
Stay
Bye,
good.
everyone.
See you in Nashville.
Right? In Nashville. Here we go.
Awesome.
We'll get together and listen to some music.
Sounds good. Lisa Landucci is playing a gig August 9th, the Thursday after Celebration ends. She's doing a showcase for her. It's an album, she's launching an album. So
In
Awesome.
Nashville?
in Nashville, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. One of our team members, Josh Weinstein, is actually doing a gig that Thursday at some local bar.
The Thursday before.
Yeah, the Thursday before, so he's sitting in on a gig. We gotta just
So
go.
we'll have to stay for a whole week, I guess.
I'm driving down there, so I'm going to be on the road for 2 weeks. So I'm driving right back after the night. I'm driving back on August 10th.
Nice.
So I'm just staying for her gig August 9th.
Cool.
But yeah, if I'm down there earlier, we'll text and we'll hang.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Cool.
Hi,
Bye.
guys. Thank you
Stay
so
good.
much for your time.
Anytime. Stay well.